Recapped here. Today I'm going to show you a Chinese science fiction fantasy film called Super Me. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A young man is so exhausted from trying to stay awake. Song Yu is the protagonist, and he is a struggling screenwriter who is plagued by nightmares. His nightmares always featured the same theme, which is a monstrous blue demon who tries to kill him whenever he closes his eyes. As a result of this, he becomes exhausted from lack of sleep, and this begins to negatively impact his life and mental health. Song Yu is seen on a train when suddenly the lights turn off and a dreadful shadow comes there. The shadow attacks him and hits him with the floor on the train, attempting to kill him. Song Yu wakes up and realizes that it was just a dream. Song Yu is a writer with skills but no ideas and doesn't earn much, and this has led him to borrow money from a lot of people, which lands him neck deep in debt. Song Yu is seen buying pancakes from a roadside vendor with his last money, and as he settles down to eat, his former partner and friend Song Ge sees him. Song Yu runs away from him because he has breached their contract and left the work unfinished. However, Song Ge forgives him and takes him to a nice restaurant for lunch. Song Yu tells his friend that he is suffering from a bad case of insomnia, and this is a disease that deprives him of sleep. Song Yu tells him that whenever he closes his eyes, a shadow demon comes into his dreams and tries to kill him. He makes use of an aquarium to give an analogy of the conscious and subconscious mind. Song Yu also tells him that he has contacted so many doctors and psychiatrists, but nobody had been able to give him the solution to this. Song Ge doesn't believe him and tells Song Yu to leave all this and stop giving excuses. Song Ge also asks him to finish the task he had been given, and he just has 1 week to deliver. Song Yu lives in a rented house and has not paid his rent for the last month. On getting home, he sees his belongings outside and his door locked. He had been thrown out of his apartment, and this is him thinking that he has to do something for his survival. He goes to a nearby cafe and starts working on his laptop. Suddenly, the demon comes again and attacks Song Yu, trying to kill him. He fights the demon and wakes up instantly, realizing that it was just a dream again. This becomes a validation that his drama was becoming more vivid. Deprived of mental health and financial stability, Song Yu is suicidal and tries to kill himself by jumping off a roof. A roadside vendor who had previously offered him a free egg on his pancake sees him and offers him food in an attempt to try and stop him. This is effective, and both of them sit down as Song Ge begins to eat his food. He looks hungry and wolfs down every bite while the old vendor asks him what the problem is. Song Yu confides in him and tells him that he hasn't slept for 6 months now because whenever he closes his eyes, a smoke demon tries to kill him. Song Yu confessed that he was tired of dying over and over again. The old man tells Song Yu not to get nervous and to just simply say the words, "I'm dreaming," whenever the shadow demon comes to attack him. According to him, having a presence of mind can make him in control of his life and his dream. He asks Song Yu to wake up before the demon kills him. Song Yu admires his love interest, Hua from a distance. She works in a nearby cafe, and Song Yu often passes by there. That night, with nothing left, Song Yu exchanged his mobile phone for some money. Later, he tried to rob a convenience store, but his conscience pricks him, and he realized that his action was wrong. He returns the items and buys just 2 loaves of bread instead. Song Yu sits outside the store and sees Hua approaching. However, instead of Hua it turns out to be the masked demon in another attempt to kill him. The demon strangles Song Yu and he tries to fight it off. As this goes on, Song Yu remembers the advice from the vendor and instantly says the 3 words, "I'm just dreaming." The demon disappears immediately, and Song Yu wakes up holding the sword that the demon tried to kill him with several times. This shocks him, and Song Yu reportedly slaps himself to make sure that he wasn't dreaming again. Song Yu goes to an antique shop that buys old and unique things, and here he comes to know that this sword is antique and very expensive. Song Yu sells the sword and gets a lot of money in return. To celebrate, Song Yu treats himself to a sumptuous meal, rents a hotel room, and even buys a new laptop. Song Yu realizes that he has a rare superpower to bring things from his dream to the real world, and with his thought, he feels his circumstances will improve gradually. When he sleeps that night, the shadow comes again and this time attacks him with an antique axe. Song Yu says the 3 words again and wakes up with the axe. He takes the artifact to the antique store and sells it for a large amount of money. Song Ge takes himself on a shopping spree and splurges on things he couldn't afford before. Song Yu purchases a book with pictures of a museum. He studies the pictures on them so that they would reflect in his dream. When Song Yu sleeps that night, he dreams of being in the museum, but this time he is unsuccessful and the demon succeeds in killing him. He wakes up without any artifact, but quickly takes sleeping tablets and falls back asleep again. This time when the demon attacked, he picked up some ancient artifact and returned to the real world. Song Yu goes to the antique store to sell these new items, but is noticed by a gangster who starts to ask him questions concerning the source of his wealth. Song Yu doesn't give him any responses, but takes his money and leaves there. As he becomes a master of his dreams and progresses as a proper Indiana Jones of the dream world, being more and more of control of his dreams, he gets richer and richer with more successes and fame. Song-ge stumbles upon him one day and barely recognizes him. Song-yu treats him to dinner in an inexpensive restaurant and pays Song-ge a considerable amount of money to compensate for his flaws in the past. Song-yu's feeling for Hua-er had never gone away, and he pays a visit to the cafe one morning and finds out that it was up for sale. In the cafe, Song-yu returns and shows Hua-er a big briefcase filled with money. He buys the cafe and assigns her as the manager. Hua-er accepts the offer, and this makes Song-yu happy. They go out for dinner to negotiate about the business, and Hua-er makes it clear that Song-yu's intentions towards her are clean. Song-yu gets more experience controlling his thoughts when he dreams, and he develops more skills and powers and is now able to fight the demon in his dreams expertly. The cafe continues to boom with more customers with the help of Song-yu, but then he looks out the window and sees the old vendor struggling with the small business. Secretly, he keeps his money in the old vendor's bag. Song-yu breaks out from the writer's block and starts to write stories again. He eagerly finishes a story that he came up with and hands it over to Song-ge. He goes to sleep that night but wakes up without bringing anything back. He sees Song-ge crying while reading the script he wrote, and Song-ge claims that it was one of his best stories. Song-yu throws a formal party in celebration of Chinese cinema and his works. The party is staged to impress Hua-er, and he becomes more rich and popular. That night, he dreams of being in a bottom pit filled with gold and crystals. Song-yu sees the demon sitting down with no fight left in him. Coming closer, he tries to take the golden belt attached to the demon's waist, which seemed to be the source of his strength. As Song-yu touches the belt, his hands begin to burn, but even then, he holds on tightly to it and reaches home. However, when Song-yu was taking the belt off the demon made some marks on his chest, but Song-yu thought nothing of this. Back to reality, Song-ge secures the belt in a glass box. Song-yu plans a romantic night for Hua-er, and here he confesses his true feelings for her. Song-yu goes to Hua-er's apartment, and as the sword stabs him on the chest from a far distance on the same spot the demon marked. He checks on himself in the mirror and realizes that he has wounds, and he quickly rushes out, leaving Hua-er clueless. Song-yu realizes that the demon's touch affected his real life, and this makes him worry. He tries to talk to Song-ge about this, but he is dismissed as Song-ge explains that he is just tired from all things happening. One night, Song-yu sees the dream that he is on the tower, and when he gets to the rooftop, he sees the demon's face for the first time, and the face staring back at him was a clone of himself that gradually started fading away. Instantly, he wakes up and realizes that he has multiple injuries littered across his body. These injuries are the ones he sustained from all his past dreams, and this freaks Song-yu out. On his way to the cafe, two men kidnap him and force him into a van. A group of gangsters led by Chiang Ge holds him captive, and a ransom of $10 million is demanded. Song-gu brings the one to a place designated by the gang, but instead of handing over Song-yu, they also kidnap Song-ge. Song-yu continues to plead with Chiang Ge to let them go as he won't be alive for long. Soon after, one of the gang members knocks Song-ge unconscious. Eager to find out Song-yu's means of wealth, the gang heads to his home to investigate and take what he has left. The gang enters his home and discovers a secret staircase that leads to a room where he keeps the expensive artifacts from his dream. Chiang Ge questions him about how he gets hold of these items. Meanwhile, Hua-er came to the lobby and requested to see Song-yu. She also was kidnapped and held captive by the gang. Frightened for Hua-er's life, Song-yu urges Chiang Ge to let her go, promising any amount in return. While one of the gang members holds Song-yu at knife point, Song-ge gains consciousness and knocks him over the head with a golden artifact. The three of them manage to escape. They continue to run upstairs as they realize that Song-yu is seriously injured by a stab wound. Song-ge is killed in the process while Song-yu and Hua-er try to escape. Song-yu gets another stab on his leg as he attempts to keep running with Hua-er. Song-yu becomes faint and comes into his dream world. Song-yu wakes up in an alternative universe surrounded by portals. He is shown a flashback of his life in one portal, and he tries to enter another portal, but he is trapped. Song-yu's body starts to disfigure and turn into a demon, a replica of the one chasing him in his dreams. The demon conceived from Song-yu's thoughts breaks out from a wall in his apartment, throws a dagger at Chiang Ge, and kills the rest of the gang members. In the process, Hua-er gets shot. The demon finally approaches Song-yu and points the gun at him. Song-yu instantly responds by saying that it is just a dream. All the artifacts instantly disappear, even the ones he sold. Song-yu wakes up from the long dream and arrives at the point where he first used his power. In this situation, he doesn't have the power and chooses to live a normal, hardworking life. He works in Hua-er's cafe and becomes a better version of himself. However, at the end of his path, the pancake vendor brings him the bag of money that he has discreetly hidden in his shop as a kind gesture of gratitude in a different timeline. The demonic world appears again, symbolizing that Sang Hyu is still trapped in a dream. With this, the movie ends here.